Welcome to a chilling exploration of the Penguin's most harrowing experiences. In this video, we will recount 10 moments that unveil the darker side of this beloved character. Explore the chilling moments that shaped the Penguin's dark legacy. Can you handle the truth behind the mask? These instances reveal not only the trials faced, but also the resilience that defines this iconic figure. From betrayal to despair, we will examine each event with a critical eye. Witness the unsettling events that define the Penguin's character. Are these the darkest truths of Gotham's underworld? DC may have delved into grittiness in live-action portrayals, but the Penguin goes further than any Batman property before. Taking place a week after the Riddler, Paul Dano, blows up the Gotham seawall in 2022's The Batman, the spin-off series depicts Oz Cobb's, Colin Farrell, power grab in the underworld of crime. Matt Reeves' portrayal of the Dark Knight isn't exactly for the faint of heart to begin with. Arguably the first Batman feature film that actually features the character being a detective, The Batman takes cues from films like Zodiac and Say 7N, all while staying close to its DC roots. Oz shows up briefly in the film, adding some levity to the heavy material. This is not the case in Max's series about the character. The Penguin dives deeper into deeply disturbing territory, with each moment being more harrowing than the last. 1. Frances reaches the end of her rope with her disease. Many television series and feature films cover the subject of dementia, but the Penguin does it with surprising tact and sensitivity. Oz's mother, Frances Cobb, Deirdre O'Connell, could have just been used as a way to garner sympathy for the crime boss. Instead, she is a nuanced character with her own interior motivations, fears, and desperation. Her diagnosis of dementia gives the audience a tragic insight into her past. In a moment of lucidity, Frances vocalizes that she understands her state of mind. Trapped in a bath of cold water, she refuses to exist as a vegetable. She makes Oz promise that if she gets any worse, he will kill her. This is an agreement no child should have to make, but it makes the audience feel for Frances. While she puts pressure on Oz, this moment opens a door to her psyche, demonstrating what an absolute nightmare it would be to be trapped inside your own mind. This scene would be dark for any series, and the fact that it is the lowest on the list shows just how rough the series gets. 2. Seeing the deaths of Victor's family is worse than just knowing about it. Victor Aguilar, Renzi Feliz, was framed as a tragic character at the onset. A victim of the Riddler in more ways than one, he is the sole survivor of his family following the destruction of the seawall. His home of Crown Point is the main center of damage from the cataclysm in Gotham, leaving Victor's life in shambles. With no family, he is cast aside and forced to reside in FEMA tents on the street. While Victor is open about what happened to his family, there is a difference between understanding it and seeing it. Viewers get a close look at what happens to Victor's family in a heartbreaking flashback, which also demonstrates Victor's guilt. When fans first see the Aguilars, they are the same as any family, watching television and cooking in the kitchen. Victor leaves to go party on the roof at the exact moment that the water hits the seawall. He desperately calls his family to no avail. He loses everything, leaving him with PTSD from watching his family die and conflicted feelings about his relationship with Oz. Like Frances, Victor deals with internal struggles, but his story has a higher body count than hers. 3. Carmine's most significant murder hits too close to home. During the events of The Batman, it is demonstrated that Carmine Falcone has a penchant for strangling women. Played by John Turturro in the film, he kills Selena Kyles, Zoe Kravitz, mother and her friend Annika, Hannah Herzog, in the same manner. While fans may have been aware of this, it is another thing entirely to realize that he is the hangman. Carmine is reprised in The Penguin, this time by Mark Strong, and his role shows just how evil he is. Carmine chooses women who are sex workers and of lower social classes to kill, but the most heartbreaking murder he commits is because of how personal it is. The leader of the Falcone crime family kills his own wife, Isabella, because she is planning on leaving him. Unlike Victor's family, this crime is methodical and purposeful and directly leads to his daughter Sophia Falcone, Kristen Milioti, being sent to Arkham. 4. Nadia Maroney's death was more brutal than it needed to be. There is no question that is needed to get rid of the Maroneys to survive. But there is a difference between killing out of necessity and reveling in setting a family on fire. When the head of Gotham's Maroni crime family, Nadia Maroney, Shora Agdashlu, discovers Oz playing both sides, she confronts him. Oz knows he is on borrowed time and does the only thing he can think of, kidnap her and Sal's, Clancy Brown, son. Dousing Taj, Arya Shaghasami, in gasoline, Oz sends him back to his mother before lighting them both ablaze. Audiences see one of the first indications of Oz's true villainy come into play. While he has committed crimes before, he seems to relish the harm he does to a family. It is generally understood that in the mob, the family of criminals are off-limits. Oz breaks this cardinal rule and gloats about it. This hits harder than Carmine's crime, which is carried out behind closed doors. 5. Sophia being sent to Arkham was a tragedy. Episode 4 of The Penguin reveals Sophia's villain origin story in excruciating detail. While it wasn't a total surprise that she was innocent of being the hangman, watching Sophia's descent into madness is heartbreaking. Once the apple of her father's eye, Sophia is approached by a reporter who tells her what Carmine has done. Sophia makes the mistake of meeting with her, which Carmine immediately takes as a threat. Unable to talk her way out of it, he sets her up to take the fall, and she ends up in Arkham Asylum for a decade. Arkham has been shown in past Batman interpretations, but not to this extent. The physical and mental torture that Sophia goes through is defeating, especially with the knowledge that Carmine is bankrolling the doctors. The most tragic of all is that Sophia had no signs of mental illness before she went in. Years of consistent abuse that fans have to endure along with her make this a hard episode to watch. Oz may have hurt his rivals, but being betrayed by your family is much worse. 6. Sophia's return to Arkham bookends her character horribly. If there is one protagonist in The Penguin, it is Sophia Gigante, née Falcone. In a world populated by the most vile and reprehensible villains, she is the one who deserves the most empathy. While born into a crime family, Sophia never did anything wrong until she was thrown into Arkham Asylum. Framed by her father for his crimes, Sophia only starts killing once she is in captivity. Kept inside for 10 years with no trial, it is a relief when she is finally released. Once on the outside, all she cares about is her brother Alberto, Michael Zegan, who immediately gets murdered by Oz. Anyone would want blood for that, and after a power struggle, Sophia loses. If anyone had asked her, Sophia would have said that she would prefer death over returning to Arkham. Once again, she is framed by a man and sent to the worst place imaginable. This is a heartbreaking end for a character who only wanted justice. This is further destruction of Sophia's soul, but, shockingly, not the worst fate that many of the main characters receive at Oz's hand. 7. The deaths of Oz's brothers make the Penguin irredeemable. For most of the season, the Penguin posits that Oz's brothers were taken down by the crime of Gotham. However, in one shocking episode, the truth is revealed. Oz's grief in adulthood camouflages the fact that he was the architect of his brother's demise. In early adolescence, young Oz, Ryder Allen, harbors resentment toward his brothers. As the middle child with a twisted foot, he desires his mother's attention above all else. One day, while playing on the old trolley tracks, he gets his wish. During a game of tag, Oz traps his brothers in a tunnel as rainwater drowns them. He lies to his mother, telling her that they went to the movies. While Oz's decision could have been a mistake, his opportunism at such a young age shows that he may have been evil straight out of the womb. Oz shows no remorse for what he does to his brothers. He convinces himself that it was a terrible accident and carries these delusions to adulthood. In Frances' own words, this makes her son the devil, and these actions are only eclipsed by worse decisions that Oz makes later in life. 8. Eve's final moments in the series secure Oz's delusions. Much of Oz and Eve's, Carmen Ejogo, relationship can be left up for interpretation, but there is no doubt that it is transactional. A Gotham City sex worker, Eve gives what Oz asks for only upon payment. This is no clearer than in the final moments of the episode when viewers see Eve in Frances' dress. With her hair done up just like Oz's mother's, it is obvious just how disturbed Oz is. He asks Eve to tell him that she's proud and loves him, and she obliges, just as he always wanted his mother to. Oz always had a grotesque obsession with his mother, but this lays it out for viewers in no uncertain terms. The Penguin will never love anyone like he loves his mother, and his relationship with Eve proves that. The final episode of The Penguin Season 1 shows just how dark Oz is in a scene that is hard to unsee. The incestuous adjacent scene only pales in comparison to what Oz actually does to his mother. 9. Oz betrays the promise he makes to Frances. Frances is as much of a victim as anyone, and in the final episode of The Penguin, she gets a fate worse than death. The entire time, She has known what Oz did to his brothers and never forgave him. She tells Oz this, and this confrontation is too much stress for her. She has a stroke, losing most of her brain function. This result is Frances' worst nightmare. Earlier, she makes Oz promise that if she ever becomes a vegetable, he has to kill her. Oz never delivers on this promise. Instead, he takes her comatose body and keeps her in his new penthouse like a trophy. Positioning her so she can look out at the Gotham skyline, he acts like he is doing her a favor. She has always wanted to live high above the city, and now Oz is delivering that to her. But she is languishing in a life that no one deserves, in direct opposition to her wishes. He keeps her there because she never gave him the validation he craved, and this is his selfish way of getting that. Frances isn't dead, but she may as well be. Oz gives that gift to someone else, culminating in the most heartbreaking moment of the series. 10. Victor's death is a tragic waste. If there was one innocent in all of this, it was Victor Aguilar. A child who loses everything, he looks up to the only father figure he has now. Oz drags him into a world of crime, drugs, and murder, and Victor, in turn, proves himself a valuable asset. Early on, he has the chance to run away, which makes his fate even worse. Finally getting everything they ever wanted, Victor tells Oz that he is his family. This ultimately becomes the kiss of death. Oz's experience with Frances' kidnapping teaches him a very valuable lesson. He can't afford to be weak, and there is no greater weakness than love. He truly loves Victor, so he strangles him in his final act on the way to the top. Victor was once a well-intentioned kid who only needed a family. Oz killing him is a devastating betrayal that cements the Penguin's status as a villain. Victor never deserved death, and it is the worst moment in the series, made sadder by his pleas to live.
If you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to hit like and subscribe to our channel.